Hi, I'm Sindhuja with Project Treble Clef, and in my last video I talked about the basics of flute, and it was just an introduction to the flute for someone who has never ever had an experience with it. You should go check that out before you watch this, just so you can have more clarity about it. In this video I will be talking about how to learn and how to become a better flutist, and just some helpful tips that will help any beginner. First tip I already mentioned briefly in my previous video, which is to take your head joint and just blow into it. I don't think I talked that much about why I said this. The reason being is when you play the flute or any wind instrument, there's a thing called an embouchure. An embouchure is how your mouth is, or like how the muscles in your mouth are. And embouchures and just playing woodwinds for a long period of time will develop these mouth muscles. Like any other muscle, the mouth muscles in your embouchure also need to be exercised so that they can also be as strong and can last as long as you need them to, since playing the flute or any other wind instrument means playing for a long period of time, especially if it's in like a band setting. Is when you play with it just the headpiece, I think it will be a lot easier for people to form an embouchure, or just gives them a better idea of how the sound will sound depending on how your embouchure is. The second tip would be to do long tones for a long period of time. Long tones are basically when you take any note, it can be any note that you're comfortable playing, and just hold it for a long period of time. This will help build up your mouth endurance and just your breath control, and so much will improve because when you hold a note you won't be worrying about the rhythm or the music or the speed. Instead, you'll be worrying just about the quality and the tone of your instrument. It'll just help you and your tone overall, since playing it continuously will make sure you are consistent in how you sound. And the third thing that really will help you is if you start overblowing. Overblowing is when you take the idea of the low, high, and middle note. They're all the same notes, but they're different pitches. Overblowing is when you take the lowest fingering, the fingering for the lowest note, and you play the low note, the middle note, and the high note all from that same fingering. Suppose we play high C with a low C fingering, you are not doing anything inherently to change what comes out of your flute other than your mouth, right? Because your fingering and the position that you have your, like, everything is gonna be the same. The only thing that changes is your embouchure. Obviously you don't need to overblow your low note every time you want to get to a high note. There's different finger positionings for each note, but just to start off and know how your high and low notes are supposed to sound, I recommend keeping a piano next to you and just, like, making sure you're going with the actual sound and not just coming up with some random sound. And it really will help you understand how your embouchure should be when you are starting, and will make your transitions easier when you go from high and low. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.